Welcome back to the Pro Sports Podcasters on YouTube. My name is Contender. Most of you know me as Kobe. And today I want to talk about what happened last night, and that was the Series 1 UFC drop. So before we get into this, you should probably know that I did not purchase any of the premium packs or standard packs in the Series 1 drop for UFC Strike. Why I did not purchase any, I'll get into that in the video. And what my plans are going forward, I'll get into that as well. Let's go. Now, first, let's get into why I did not purchase any packs in this particular drop. And the first reason is, and this is something I've actually mentioned on previous videos on our channel, is that I judge a pack drop by what's most likely to happen. And that's, in this case, with a standard pack, you're most likely going to get 3 contenders. With a premium pack, you're most likely going to get a challenger and 2 contenders. And that's just how it breaks down. And I looked at the challengers, and I've also looked at the marketplace value currently on Series 0 and thought, you know what, $250. It's one of these situations where unless you hit a legendary, you're probably going to lose money on the premium pack. So that was a no-go for me, which left the standard packs. And with the standard packs, I'm looking at the contenders. You're most likely going to get 3 contenders for each standard pack that you purchase. And unlike Series 0, the contender list was poor, to say the least, okay? It was not the best list of fighters that you could potentially get here. Amongst the 25 fighters that were available in the contender set, only 7 really appeal to me. And out of those 7, I'm a big fan of 5. 2 are just real potential fighters that could have a good future within the UFC. There's also 3 noobs that really haven't proven themselves yet. They've got a great professional career outside of the UFC, but they haven't really proven themselves inside the UFC yet. So they've got potential as well. But when it comes right down to it, there was 7 quality moments that you could crack in a pack from the contender set. So your chances of having a real dud pack was high. And just as proof of that, you want to do yourself a disservice. If you feel like being depressed, you could hop on to the UFC Strike Discord and just look at some of the general communication going on there about yesterday's drop. The majority is not very good. You got a lot of depressed individuals on the Discord right now. I had to stop reading just because it got too brutal to experience. That's how bad it was. And that's what I expected. And because of that, I did not go in on it. Another mistake they made, and this is one that it really shouldn't have been made. This is a very easy fix by them. But when they marketed UFC Strike Series 1, they marketed it with the premise that it had a featured champion moment, a featured challenger moment, and a featured contender moment. So the featured champion is Anderson Silva. By all means, makes sense. The featured challenger is Conor McGregor, for obvious reasons, and the featured contender was Habib Nurmagomedov. And these are all great fighters. They probably should have all been in the Champion Series, but I understand mixing it up because that gives the potential buyer kind of like a carrot to go after, right? A prize to try and get. If you're thinking to yourself, hey, I could get a Habib as a contender, I should probably buy these packs, even though the chances are I'm not going to get one. But that is not the mistake. The mistake is the fact that if you're going to feature specific moments, you should probably have them at a lower mint count than the rest in their category. That's what they should have done, just like everything else that comes out of Dapper Labs. If it's a featured moment, for whatever reason, it generally has a slightly lower mint count. In this case, they could have minted 20% less for each one, and it would make complete sense. That way, when you do buy a pack and you do crack, say, a Habib, instead of it being minted to 12,000 like every other contender in there, right? You get a lower mint count, which makes it a bit special, right? It's less likely to pop up in your pack. So when you do get it, it's a bonus. And then down the line, it's more collectible because it is truly featured. It's not just the fighter that's featured. It's the actual moment that's featured. So next time, I hope they do that. It would just make sense. But let's get into the 7 fighters that I was kind of interested in that I will probably go on to the marketplace when it does reopen and watch what they're going for and purchase the ones that make, well, financial sense to me, investment sense to me. I'm also very interested, of course, in, say, the Conor McGregor, and we'll see what that goes for. I expect it to come out high, but unless they start adding some utility, they're going to keep going down in value over time. So that's the next real step that Dapper Labs needs to take. They need to add some kind of a challenge, some kind of a utility to UFC Strike, or it's just going to keep going down in value. But let's get into the 7 fighters that are a bit of a bonus to have cracked as a Contender Series set in UFC Strike Series 1. Let's go. We'll begin with the obvious, and that's Habib Nurmagomedov. Now, Habib went undefeated, beat almost everyone in the division before he retired, and is a household name amongst educated and casual MMA fans, so it's no surprise that he gets to be the featured contender in this particular drop. Like I said, they should have lowered the mint count, but whatever. Everyone's going to want a Habib for sure. So that's obviously one of my 7. Then you've got maybe less known by some, and that's Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell's a featherweight. He's currently undefeated. He's 15-0 as a professional. You've always got to be a little suspect, though, about some of those undefeated records, because before they get to the UFC, some of those smaller promotions don't have much in the way of competition. He is 4-0 in the UFC, though, and he's looked quite dominant, so I like him. He looked awesome in his last fight against Edson Barbosa. So we'll see what happens when he faces somebody currently ranked in the top who's more of a current fighter. Barbosa's at the end of his career. Then you've got Yamaha Hill. He's a light heavyweight. He looked awesome against Johnny Walker, but Johnny Walker has a way of making his opponents look awesome because of how unorthodox he is and how he just really doesn't have any form of defense to his style. But Yamaha Hill looked fantastic, okay, in that particular fight. Truly dominant. He's 10-1. He's only got the 1 defeat against him, and that's because he got injured during that fight. So I really like Yamaha Hill as somebody who can maybe shake up the light heavyweight division. Then you've got Calvin Keator. Calvin Keator is part of the New England Cartel. I've actually spoken with the coach from the New England Cartel, Tyson Chartier, a number of times on the Pro Sports Podcasters MMA Connections. I've spoke with him quite a few times. And Calvin Keator is legit. He's very clean, very, very true mixed martial artist. He just needs to take that one little step and maybe get a win against 1 or 2 of these really top guys in order to potentially land a title shot. He's 23-5. Then I've got Armin Cerukian. I'm a huge fan of Armin Cerukian. Guy's a beast. He's on a 5-fight win streak, and he literally, the 5 fights he's been on, he's just dominated his opponents, either finished them or just owned them for all 3 rounds. He's 18-2 as a lightweight, so this guy's legit. I'm a huge fan of Cerukian. I can't wait for his next fight. We'll see how it goes. Then you've got Andre Muniz. He's a middleweight. His last loss was back in 2016, okay? And he's a true submission specialist, which always makes him interesting to watch, basically, because I like these submission specialists, right? They can be a pretty bad matchup for almost anybody when it comes right down to it, because if you're a striker and you knock them down, you can't make that mistake of hopping on them right away because you can find yourself tapped out before you even know it. And they always have that ability to just go for a submission no matter what the situation is. So I like Andre Muniz as somebody to watch going forward. And then my last guy is Syed Nurmagomedov. And what makes him exciting is that, unlike your typical Dagestani fighter, he's a striking specialist, right? His striking is just dynamic. It's awesome to watch. He looked amazing against Cody Stamann in his last fight in January. And I don't know, he's just fun to watch. And those kind of guys, they're always going to get attention. They're always going to draw additional interest from fans. And of course, Dana White loves these dynamic strikers. So he'll be giving him great placements on cards going forward, which is always good when you're looking at investing in some of these moments. And those are the 7 that I'm really interested in. There's 3 other guys that are brand new. I'm not going to go over them now, but if you got one of those 7, that's pretty solid. Don't expect to make your money back on any of these guys except maybe Habib. The rest of them, because of where the market's at with Series 0, and it's going to just mimic that with Series 1, you're going to lose money unless you hit a decent challenger with your standard pack or a legendary with your premium pack. Looking forward to the marketplace reopening and seeing where things are at. Till next time.